In this video, we're going to be talking about retrofitting refrigerants. By what I mean by retrofitting refrigerants is changing equipment based on the older refrigerants to the newer refrigerants. Retrofitting is the updating of an existing system to new standards, often by installing modern replacements for certain components. The identification of the type of refrigerant used in the system may be difficult. It's normally accomplished by checking the manufacturer tags on the equipment. However, in the lack of manufacturer tags, you cannot identify refrigerants by color or smell and should not attempt to do so. Sniffing refrigerant can be deadly. You can use a refrigerant analyzer that identifies unknown refrigerants and determines their components, or even more importantly, you can use a temperature pressure chart to see what refrigerant is in the system based on a certain temperature and pressure. A refrigerant analyzer can be used on residential systems, commercial systems, automotive systems, and refrigerant cylinders. They're used extensively in automotive air conditioning, where it's difficult to determine if an R-12 system has been converted to 134A. Okay, it's very dependent on the original design. It's a good practice to contact the original equipment manufacturers before changing the type of refrigerant or refrigerant controls to see what service and replacement needs to be done. Many times the metering device will need to be replaced and the lubricant will also need to be replaced. The proper replacements are determined by the new refrigerant being used. Also, the system should be flushed to remove any residual oil, and a new filter dryer should be installed in the system. Local building codes may specify the types of refrigerants that can be used in refrigeration systems. These codes may address refrigerant purity, mixing of refrigerants, retrofitting one refrigerant to another, and the amount of refrigerant that can be contained in a system. R-22 to R-410A is the biggest retrofit we are seeing right now in air conditioning. Due to the negative impact R-22 has on the environment, R-22 is being phased out of the United States and has been illegal to manufacture new equipment with since 2010. R-22 is an HCFC refrigerant and contains chlorine. By the year 2020, all production and importing of R-22 will cease in the U.S. In order to prepare for this, contractors and technicians are starting to retrofit R-22 systems with HFC refrigerants such as 404A, 407C, and 410A. Systems that use 410A have increased efficiency and use less energy, which means less impact on the environment. One of the reasons for the increased efficiency with 410A is its relatively low boiling point, negative 61 degrees at atmospheric pressure. One of the side effects of R-410A's low boiling point is that it operates at a much higher pressure than R-22 systems. These pressures present special problems when retrofitting from R-22 to R-410A. Many components in an R-22 system cannot be used in an R-410A system. The metering device in an R-22 system is typically too large for 410A systems and will need to be replaced with a metering device that is 10 to 15% smaller. R-410A operates at 40 to 70% higher pressures than 22. A new compressor with thicker walls which handle the higher system pressures is needed. In addition to the new compressor, thicker ACR tubing is needed. A condenser rated for use with 410A is needed, as well as a filter dryer rated for at least 600 psi and an evaporator rated for at least 235 psi. So R-22 evaporators are made of thicker material than our R-410A evaporators are made of thicker material than R-22 evaporators. Beyond changing all of the system's major component, the lubricant has to be changed. R-22 systems use mineral oil. R-410A use polyester oil. They do not match. This is not a one-time change due to the residual mineral oil in a system. It may have to be changed 2 to 3 times. Much of the service equipment that is required to work on 410A, such as manifold gauges, service lines, recovery cylinders, all of these need to be rated to be used on 410A systems. Again, it's not the fact the equipment is different, it's just that it can handle higher pressures. Recovery cylinders must be rated to handle 400 psi, and pressure gauges and manifolds must be rated to handle at least 800 psi. So the R-22 gauge is on the left, okay, handles up to 500 psi. The 410A gauge is on the right, and it handles up to 800 psi. Now, having said this with the retrofit capability, the bottom line is manufacturers are not allowing warranted retrofit from R-22 to 410A. It is an equipment replacement, both on the condensing unit side and on the evaporator coil side. You can retrofit to 407C. However, again, the oil has to be changed, and 407C fractionates. So if you're doing it in a system where you have any feeling that there might be a leak, any possibility of a leak, don't do it. Replace the system.